Hey everyone! So today I'm going to talk about this book that I saw recommended on Reddit. It's called The Upward Spiral. Subtitle is Using Neuroscience to Reverse the Course of Depression, One Small Change at a Time. So I saw this book recommended, and without really thinking, I put it on my holds list of the library, and like a month later it came, and like I wasn't even sure what book it was. Like sometimes I'll just come across books and then I'll throw them on the holds list, and surprise, yeah. Anyways, so the reason that it's called One Small Change at a Time is because the point here they're making is that being happy isn't just one little life change and then you're happy. Like in order to be happy, like you have to do a bunch of small changes or even a few small changes, and these changes spiral. Like that's the whole point of the book, is that there's spirals that you get into. So I thought this was like a really interesting concept because it's true, like not only are there upward spirals, but there's also downward spirals. So like for one example that he mentions in the book is this person who's overweight. He'd like to exercise, but he feels so sad and stressed out about the fact that he's overweight that he doesn't like want to exercise because he has no motivation, because he's stressed out and sad. And as a result, he doesn't exercise and he feels worse. Like it's a downward spiral. Like exercise will make you feel better, but when you don't feel good, you don't want to exercise. So it's a catch-22. But it's important to fight these spirals, or to go upward spirals even. And some of the points he makes is like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing either. Like you don't have to start going on runs to benefit from exercise. Just do whatever you can do. So if you can go for a 5-minute walk, start with that. And that actually brings me to another point. This is my favorite point of the book. Not to be a spoiler. My favorite part was how they say, like, you know, like when you're really motivated and you feel like you can't get anything done, and there's like this really big project that needs to get done, and you're like, I can't even do it. Like, I have no motivation. So, like, the key to that would be, instead of just trying to force yourself to do it and it not happening, would be to get yourself to do anything. So start small, like start like reading a book, or start like, I don't know, do some laundry, whatever's easiest for you. Start small, do a small little thing of productivity, and it'll be so much easier to do bigger things because that dopamine is getting released. And I've been trying this lately, and it really works. And it's like if I want to like take my dog for a run, but I don't have like the motivation to do so, I might start like going on my computer, or at least like doing something, you know, like doing a few dishes. And the more I do, like the more I want to do. Like it's a dopamine like upward spiral. And let's see here. So, okay, another spiral, which can be a downward spiral that you don't want to get into, is when you're feeling really sad and you don't want to see anyone, you just want to be by yourself. This is a downward spiral because you're not going to be happier. Well, some people might be happier, okay? I don't want to say that. But being around other people is known to make you happier, like neurologically. It like boosts your limbic system, it like creates oxytocin, it creates dopamine. Like neurologically, it's good for you to be around other people, like it makes you happier. And I've also read like statistics before, like if you live alone, you're like 80% more likely to become depressed. And personally, I've lived alone for a few years and it was really sad. Well, that's me, so I can't say that for everyone, because I know some people enjoy being alone more, but the average person will still benefit from being around others. Okay, let's see. What's another good point that he makes? He makes a lot of good points. Okay, this one was interesting, I thought. Gratitude. So he explains like how important gratitude is, and I think we all know that gratitude's important, and it's like important to like be grateful for what we have and stuff. And that's very true, and he says that's true. But one thing that we make the mistake of is we compare ourselves and like our lives to other people's. And we even use this as like a way to like be grateful. We're say like, oh, at least we have a job, or at least we're not homeless, or at least we're healthy, and we're comparing it to other people. But apparently they've done research, and that's actually not making you happier, comparing yourself to others, even if you're using it as a way to be grateful. So I think that was pretty interesting. Okay. This was actually more towards the beginning of the book. He talks about goal setting, and he uses these examples that they conducted in mice. Apparently, when you set goals and achieve them, it releases dopamine and a bunch of other happy hormones too. But it was interesting. So they fed these mice cocaine, and there was one mice, like, they obviously, like, their dopamine levels would go up when they would get drugs. And oh, that's my dog. Oh, we'll get to that one next too. But yeah, their dopamine levels would go up, but even they would go up way more so when the mice pressed a button and decided to get the cocaine. Like, not just obtaining a goal, it makes you happy, yeah, but setting a goal and then obtaining it makes you even happier by, like, a long shot. So it's interesting. Like, it's really important to set goals. Okay, so where I was getting to with that little, I don't know where she is, that little puppy over there. The book also talks about, like, how it can be helpful, like, to get a pet, and like bonding with that animal is, like, really important too. And I can second that one. Like, having a pet, having a dog, even having a cat, it's a great idea. Just do it. Yeah. So back to the goal setting. That's interesting because that actually ties into exercise as well. So he was also saying, like, they did, like, a study of people, like, who got exercise, and, like, they noticed, like, their depressive symptoms were going away. But they also did a study where it was, like, choosing to exercise and then forced exercise. And the people that chose to exercise and exercise, like, benefited a lot more, because putting, like, goals in place and, like, making your own choices, like, makes you happy. Like, so being indecisive is something you want to avoid. Although I know how it feels to be one of those people, but it's something to work on because it is really important, because it's interesting because the way he explains it, he, like, relates it to the brain. Like, when you have, like, a long-term goal, you're gonna have to give up, like, short-term dopamine releases in order to get there. So you might think that it might not make you happy, but having the goal itself is what overrides everything else. So, like, if you want to lose weight, like, turning down, like, candy is not gonna, like, be very happy in the moment, but overall you'll still be more happy because long-term goal setting works, like, certain parts of the brain, like, in a different way. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to get to that really stood out. Okay, one other thing he caught on to was sleep and getting a good night's sleep. I think we all know that. It's vital. I mean, yeah, like, I've watched a few other videos and stuff, and, like, I've read about, like, how important sleep is, and a lot of us think that we're getting enough sleep, but sometimes we often, like, make mistakes. Like, we count how much time we're spending in bed, like, trying to fall asleep, and we're factoring that in. And also, like, you also need to keep in mind, like, adults are supposed to get, like, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But if you're a younger adult, you might need more, and, like, some people in general just might need more. And also, like, if you're having caffeine, like, you're not getting quality sleep, like, if you're having it later in the day. And also, he also mentions how exercise and sleep also, like, intertwine, and how, like, they both release, like, serotonin, and you get, like, a better night's sleep when you exercise. So it's everything just coming full circle. So that's why he says that one small change at a time, because all these small changes come together to be one ginormous change, and, like, it actually takes, like, multiple factors for them to, like, make a difference. And I can really see, like, a lot of these things catching on. And yeah, I really recommend this book for anyone who's considering it, or even if you haven't heard of it, I still recommend it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, sorry, you know what? I actually had one more point to make. He also goes on about, like, habits, and, like, good habits and bad habits, and how, like, habits become, like, so permanently ingrained in our brains that it can almost be, like, actually impossible to break them. So he also, like, the way he, like, a workaround for this, like, if you have a bad habit that you're trying to get rid of, instead of trying to just, like, break it, because it's so permanently ingrained in your brain, the best way, like, to fix it or to, like, adjust it would be to place a good habit in place of it. So, for example, if after dinner you're used to having a bowl of ice cream, maybe you could go for a run. Or if you're used to having a bottle of wine, maybe you could have some tea or some apple cider or, like, another kind of, like, drink. And because it's so deep in your mind, like, your environment, like, it's just so hard to, like, fix your old bad habits without, like, replacing them with something new. And that was the last thing that I, like, wanted to touch base on. yeah, there was so much good stuff in here. I keep thinking more and more, you know. Okay, wait, I had one more thing. Okay, so it was the way that our brains work, it takes 3 positive interactions to equal 1 negative interaction just to balance out to a normal baseline level. So in a way, things are actually way better than you think, because we perceive things to be negative. We're negative creatures. We think things are worse than they are. Like, it takes things to be really good just to see them as like okay. So things are actually better than you think they are. So maybe that's like a comforting ending thought. I don't know. All right, thanks for listening.